What is going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. I do appreciate all you guys. We have been slamming builds out left and right. We got a lot more coming out, and y'all have been checking them out like crazy, so appreciate you. Now we are continuing that grind with the Ursa Furiosa and a Void Titan build. This has some pretty solid internal feedback loop possibility, plus we are the ultimate protection boy right here with our armor perk, so we can see what these changes were. Ursa Guard, move faster while guarding with the Sentinel shield or the Unbreakable shield. Damage block with each of those. We are going to get super energy for our Sentinel and grenade energy for our Unbreakable, so a pretty solid internal feedback loop, like I said right there. And then this is feeling super tanky. We got overshield, we got blocking going on with a multitude of ways. On to our Void Titan class that we got right here. We got our Sentinel shield, so we can block with Ursa. We're gonna go with our Towering Barricade, Strafe Lift. For me, I went with Shield Throw and our Vortex Grenade. Now we are gonna be using our Unbreakable to pair with that Ursa, like I said, so we hold a Void Shield that blocks a bunch of different damage coming at us, and when we do actually shoot off that damage back at the enemies, we are going to do a nice bit of damage on them, and it disorients them, so pretty solid in that end game content to block content. Disorienting has always been one of the best ad management verbs or things, actions that we can do in the game. Now on top of that, we are going to have our controlled demo, so hitting targets with our abilities are going to make them volatile. This counts for our grenade, our melee, as well as even our Unbreakable stuff is going to be pretty volatile, which you will see in a second why we got even more of that going on with the aspect and our fragments. So we're going to have Echo of Reminisce right here. Our Vortex is going to last even longer. Echo of Starvation, picking up Void Breaches or Orbs of Power, going to grant us that Devour, so staying alive a little bit longer is super nice with this build. We are defeating targets with grenades to grant volatile rounds, so plays right back into that Controlled Demolitionist with even more volatility, and then defeating weakened targets is going to create us Orbs of Power and Void Breaches, so plays back into Starvation and getting us Devour, which you will see we will proc most of this just on the build, but also in our artifact that we got this episode. With this build, we're going to be using a glaive as well, but I built this out for Resilience Discipline as my number one, with recovery at 60, and then just kind of played it out however the mods, or I should say the stats, fell, but I wanted strength up there a little bit as well. We got ourselves on our helmet, hands on right here for our glaive defeats, as well as our throwing shield. We got Strand Siphon as well as Harmonic Siphon, so we can create a bunch of different Orbs of Power. Bolstering Detonation as well as Focusing Strike right here. We're going to get our class ability back for both of these when we do damage with our grenade or our melee, and then I do have Font of Vigor on, so our armor charge, instead of that strength being at 50, when we do have armor charge, this is going to stack our strength stat up by 30, so it's going to be at 80, just making the build a little bit better and faster to get that throwing shield back. For me, I went with on a solar resistance on these with Strand, just was what I was going into. You can throw this on, like I always say, depending on the content you're going into. For me, I went with Recuperation, Orbs of Restoration, Absolution, so we can get back our abilities with these two mods, as well as our health when we pick up all those Orbs of Power that we're going to be creating with our Strand and Harmonic Siphon. And then Reaper, even we're going to create even more Orbs of Power because of that, throwing down our shield. Then we can get to defeats, picking up those Orbs of Power as well by throwing down our shield. Everything in close proximity is going to come to us, so everything on our boots going to get procced instantly, as well as getting ourselves that nice Font of Vigor and armor charge. Then Bomber, of course, when we do throw down our shield, we're also going to get a little bit of that grenade energy back, just again feeding into the feedback loop of this build, being able to use our Unbreakable as much as possible, as well as our super, blocking damage with our shield, as well as you will see in our second, we also got a glaive on. Now that glaive that I am talking about is our Edge of Action, which is specific to our Titan Titans. So when we get those defeats with this bad boy, it's going to be able to charge up, and then we're going to have a remote shield that we're going to be able to throw down, giving us overshield, so plays back into blocking all of the damage that we got on our super as well as our Ursa. Then we're going to have a breach light on this bad boy so we can get some nice unraveling going on. Plus we're going to be using anti-barrier sidearms. We're going to be using glaives right here for our unstoppable, and then overload machine gun for our hammerhead down here just feels the best for me, and then it pairs well with everything that we're going to have in the Tablet of Ruin right here. So like I said, here's our mods for our weapons, but we're going to have volatile marksman. So again, more volatility on this build, adding to what we already got from our abilities in our void subclass. And then of course, like I said, unraveling rounds on our strand weapon from picking up orbs of power. Hold the line while surrounded with machine guns or glaives. We got both of those on. So we're going to have increased stability on reload, plus final blows heal us, so that glaive is going to keep us alive as well. Plus, even if we're using our hammerhead, but most of the time we're going to be using glaive on this so we can block a bunch, we can even use the unbreakable while we got our glaive up too. King's Vestige right here, defeating those powerful taken loads weapons with taken energy, hits enemies doing damage, can disrupt and exhaust them. Pretty nice for us just in some of that end game content, but really more for if we're going through the nether stuff like that. Dreadful Finisher, when we do finishers on targets, we're going to get some nice bit of special ammo. Malignant Harvest, rapidly applying volatility, causes our next instance of void weapons to create weakening bursts. So weakening, with that we're going to create void breaches as well as orbs of power, and we're getting volatility everywhere with this build. No Bell, a rapid glaive, melee final blows grant a special ammo. Blocking damage with the glaive increases the melee damage to targets. So again, we're going to be up close and personal a bunch with this build, blocking damage like crazy. Heavy ordnance right here, a rapid damage with those machine guns is going to grant us melee and a grenade energy for a little bit. It's a super nice internal feedback loop. And then again, last thing, defeating weakened targets with void weapons applies volatility to nearby targets. So again, even more of that feedback loop, creating a bunch of weakening, a bunch of volatility with this build. We're going to block a bunch of damage with our glaive, with our unbreakable, with our super, and that sentinel shield. We're going to be able to have that special little bubble that we pop with our melee, so it is super nice with that glaive going on specifically for our titans. Definitely a fun little build, blocking all that damage, keeping us alive. We're going to be able to spam our super and our grenade a good amount with this build as well, because we get a good amount of energy back from blocking damage with that super as well. So again, Titans, try this bad boy out. Very fun little build that we got going on. Hopefully y'all can try it out, but as y'all know, if you stick around to the end of the video, as always, I start mumbling because my ADHD takes over after talking for about 20 minutes, rewriting, you know what I'm saying, talking about this. Here we go again. But I'm gonna just say I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for catching me, thanks for catching the channel, thanks for catching the videos. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe. Hit that bell if you have not. It means a lot to me, it means a lot to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.